It's another episode of The Reset. I appreciate you joining us. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the trade deadline. I'm going to talk about this bye week. I'm going to talk about what's going on around the NFL, and also, more importantly, what does it look like for the Seahawks over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Hey, appreciate you joining us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Come on now, sub now, hit that button so you can hear us all the time.
It's The Reset with G. Scott.
The trade deadline hit. How you guys feeling? You guys feeling good? You feeling bad? You feeling a certain type of way? I got to give this analogy a little love to Stacey Ross. You know Stacey Ross on our Seattle sports station. I was talking to her, and I just felt like, oh, this trade deadline right here, right? But I figured it out. The trade deadline for the Seahawks makes me feel like, you ever packed your lunch and came to work and then ate your lunch a little early because you were hungry? But then the food truck comes and all your friends go out there and they got fresh food and you already ate and you feeling like you're missing out? That's how I feel right now about the Seahawks. I'm not saying that they didn't make any moves earlier, right? They made the move for for my man, Mr. Jones coming in, you know, that whole deal for the linebackers. And they made their moves on the D-line. But it just feels like right now, everybody around the league is at recess while we're sitting there just watching. Kansas City Chiefs with D-Hop coming in, right? The Detroit Lions made a move. The Steelers made a move. The Commanders made a move. And it just feels like a lot of the top teams in the NFL are making moves right now. I'm not saying that the Seahawks didn't make moves. Let me slow down. You see what I'm talking about? Are you with me on this? Because there's just a certain feeling. What I'm saying is I should not be talking about envy. I should not be talking about jealousy. It does not feel right? I'm a Seahawks fan through and through. It's in my blood. But I'm looking around the league and I'm just like, man, I just feel like some FOMO, right? Some fear of missing out.
FOMO is a great way to put it, because not only is the amount of moves increased this year to NBA levels, it feels like, but the quality of player has really jumped up. These are some really high-profile names that we're looking at that have been moved around. So I totally get the FOMO, G. I totally get it.
So now, put it in the chat. Was there any moves that you wanted to make? And I know the obvious. I know what you guys want to address. I know what you wanted to talk about. Yeah, and I hope Scott Huff, who is the O-line coach for this team, I hope going forward they're gonna have to get it handled, because I went through, watched that film, watched the all-22 from that Seahawks game right there against the Rams in that loss. Now I know a lot of you guys are real tough on Geno Smith. A lot of you guys are like, get him out of here. A lot of you guys and gals are talking about bench him for Sam Howell. Chill. That dude was pressured a lot in that game. I'm not making excuses, right? That red zone interceptions that he threw, 3 trips to the red zone, 0 points. I'm not making excuses. But remember, if we're going to be talking about the O-line and we're going to be talking about the quarterback, everything is connected, right? That's the beauty of football. That's why it's so hard to get wins. So, yes, the O-line definitely needs to be addressed. Now, if we want to talk about some good news, I thought the defense was much better. Stopping the run, holding him to 68 yards rushing, holding Kyron Williams to 14 yards rushing in the first half. Hey, you got to give credit where credit is due. So the Seahawks on a bye week, I hope a lot of them can go and get on vacation. I hope a lot of them can get away, relax, get away from football, play video games, put your feet in the sand, go back, see family, because sometimes you just need that break.
Or
when they come back, they go on the road to the Niners, back at the crib against the Cardinals.
What would Mebane tell you for the bye week?
They
got to hang out.
Yeah, not now though. Okay, yeah, don't worry. Mebane will be on. Don't you guys worry. Thursday we will have Mebane on. So tomorrow he will be on. But
one thing I want to just share about the trade deadline, because we have all the moves written out. I love your takes, Gino. And for anyone in the comments, any moves that we're jealous of, any players that we're jealous of, or anything, it's like, actually, I'm glad we avoided it.
Okay.
I want to share mine, and it's something I tweeted about earlier this week. Cam Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars was traded to the Minnesota Vikings, and he was traded for a 5th-round pick.
Okay.
He played in his first game against Minnesota against the Indianapolis Colts on primetime. He played 40-something snaps, gave up 2 pressures, 0 sacks. And I'm just looking at that like, that's a team we worked with, we traded with. That's a team we have a relationship with. We went defensive. We went defensive tackle. There's no way Jacksonville wasn't dangling that guy in front of us, because Jacksonville knew what the future of their team was this year. They knew our offensive line issues. We didn't bite. Now, the caveat is, hey, he's a free agent this year. You know, Lucas is coming back. Cross and Lucas, do you need a 3rd tackle in that rotation? But that is a move that I would have really actually kind of liked to see, just saying, hey, we're all in on fixing this O-line.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I now, maybe it's just me, but I felt that when the Seahawks made their moves to address the defense, when they made their moves to address the D-line, give some help there with some depth, address the linebacker situation, I felt at the time, that was really the need, right? Remember when the Seahawks could not stop the run? Remember when they could not get a line in their alignment right? I think that was the situation then. Now, here we are right now, and I'm not saying that the offensive line has been great, but it wasn't like we saw. And by the way, I'll be crystal clear. Watching that film and watching the O-line was the worst that we've seen this year. And that's disheartening for it to be the worst. We too late in the season for that. Now, I know there's a mismatch and all those things and looking for this guy to get out, but we saw better against the Atlanta Falcons than we have seen against, of course, the Bills and now the Falcons. So that's going to be something. Again, I just feel like this trade deadline. Now, you guys okay with DK not going anywhere, right? Because I know some of you guys was really talking a lot about that DK. Matter of fact, my good friend that I go hang out with on Fridays was talking about that. Maybe they should trade DK. No, because you guys know this offense misses DK. Speaking of that, because DK was out, we got to see, Frank, how good, no, not we, maybe some of you got to see how good JSN has been. You know, it's funny, in the first quarter of that game, first half of that game, especially after Jackson, that interception and everything, there was a lot of you on Twitter, go search, do the search. We're calling him a bust, Frank. Calling JSN a bust. Frank, what's the numbers? 4th most receiving yards in franchise history?
Yeah, tied for 4th. 7 for $180, 2 TDs. He had 69% of the team's air yards in that game. That was the most in a single game since Tyler Lockett a couple years ago when he had a 200-yard game. He had 3 plays of 20 yards or more on 5 attempts. He had 0 before this game. He was 0 for 5 on 20-yard plays when he was targeted. He had 3 for 5 today, so that was huge. And then we're also just, something we're going to talk about a little bit later probably, but he had 2 huge plays that were also called back. He had a 40-yard play and a 38-yard play that were called back from holding. This game could have been even crazier for him. It was a huge – he already had a coming-out game when he and DK both went triple digits. This is almost like – if it's not homecoming now, this is like turnabout or your second dance. It's not prom yet, but he's really showing up now in year 2.
I'm telling y'all right now, JSN does this. Do me a favor. Go look up his high school stuff. Go look at the numbers he was putting up in high school down in Texas. Shout out to Rockwall. This dude was doing it then. Getting out there, hitting them for 200, 250s. This is what he does. The dude is good. So that's something that the Seahawks can build on. That's something that we as fans can get excited about, that you got a dog right there. You bring DK, add to that. Let's address the offensive line issues, but it's time to get done. Like, look, ain't no more excuses. And y'all know there's not excuses. This team has lost 5 of the last 6. They've lost 4 at home. There's absolutely no excuses. And I want to apologize to some of y'all because some of y'all called me out recently. Frank, they called me out, man. They told me that I wasn't keeping it 100. And you know what? You're right. You're right. There are some things that I've been holding back on. There are some things that I have tried not to go so hard because I learned a little bit from last year, right? When I was on, KJ and I, there were some things I went a little too rough with, right? I can be disappointed. I can want accountability, but I got to do it in a way that is, how can I say this? It's like when you have kids, and you ever just got that kid that just keep messing up, and you just want to tell them and nickname them Can't Do Right from the movie Life, and they just can't get it together, and you really want to say some things, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to keep it 100, but you want the child, you want them to do better, right? So you know that if you say anything extra that you don't have to, Frank, it can make the situation worse. Can y'all feel what I'm saying? So for all of y'all that's calling me out, that's not keeping it 100, I love and respect you. You're not wrong. You're right. I'm keeping it 90%, though.
I was going to ask, you keeping it 90? Okay.
I'm keeping it 90.
Okay.
I don't want to go hard because I don't like to go hard on individual play. I like to go hard as units, position groups, right? Offense or defense now, I'll tell you what I haven't been going 100 on. Now, if you, here's another where I haven't been going. I ain't been going 100 on the coaching staff. Now, that I have been holding back on. Yeah. So, again, do I think there's learning curve for these new coaching staff? Yes. New head coach, new offensive coordinator, new O-line coach, new defensive coordinator, all new to the league. So I haven't been going hard on that, but I'm just giving them time. And one thing that I do know, I was here in 2010. You were here in 2010. How long did it take Pete Carroll to get it all together, right? Took him a minute. Took him 2 years. I'm not saying that it's going to take 2 years here, but I'm just saying if you thought the LOB era was great, just remember it took a couple years for that.
Well, I'm glad you brought up position groups.
Okay.
As something that you can be 100 about.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about this. Let's look at them in a financial basis because we feel like
you got some numbers for me?
I got some numbers.
Okay.
We wanted to break down the Seahawks roster and see where the money is being spent. And then I grabbed 2 teams to compare them to. One in the AFC, one in the NFC. Your beloved Lions, and then we're got to look at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. They spend about a little less than $40 million on their quarterback. We're a little lower than 30. This is going off of 2024 cap hits, right? And so there's always some wiggle room. We'll see how 2025 goes. There are some comparable numbers between how we're spending our money on our roster in Kansas City in the sense that they're spending $23 million a year on tight ends. We're at 13. So, okay. We spend $4.5 million on running backs. So do they. Oh, okay. $14 million on linebackers. They're at 13. But, man, we get to some big differences. Are you ready? How much money does Kansas City spend on their O-line?
Okay. Can I answer the Seahawks first? Do the Seahawks spend about $20 million on O-line?
Not even, but it's very close. They're about 19.
$19 million for the Seahawks. Are you about to tell me that the Kansas City Chiefs spend double that?
No, it's more than that.
What?
It's triple. $60 million is dedicated to their O-line. $51 million is dedicated to 3 guys that are making over 10 each. That's Taylor, that's Humphrey, that's Thuney. They're spending about $60 million on that O-line. Now, if you look at the rest, they're spending $11 million on receivers, $4.5 million on linebackers. Their secondary.
Wait.
Go
Who
ahead.
spent $11 million on receivers?
Kansas City.
I said in one of the episodes, Frank, do you remember this? I said, you watch. the market for the wide receiver position, the market is going to go down. Look at all of the trades that is happening. D-Hop for a 5th rounder, right? Mike Wallace being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Have you guys noticed that a lot of receivers are getting traded? Because look, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs who are investing $11 million and you thought, oh, what about Tyreek Hill and what about this? They're spending $11 million, but they're getting action because they're spending $60 million in the trenches. Now here's the thing. I find something interesting. Me and you who don't get paid to orchestrate or put together or build a team, yeah, I can see folks like us drafting and trading like Madden, like fantasy football. I'm shocked that a lot of these GMs in these leagues be acting just like us. I don't get it. And so we wonder why. Mebane teaches us all the time, football is won in the trenches. Run the ball, stop the run. And so now we see the Kansas City Chiefs, what are they, 8-0, 9-0?
They're 8-0.
Right?
They won in overtime.
Because they consistently have an O-line. And by the way, you heard Frank. $60 million Kansas City Chiefs have spent on their O-line. They spend $4 million on their running backs.
Now, part of this is rookie deals and all that stuff, and you know your first 4 years and whatnot.
You got to draft well.
But I want you to look. Yeah, exactly. But you listen to these teams because I think part of it with this trade deadline, similar to the NBA, is when they're making these trades, the team that is getting rid of the guy has to swallow a decent part of the salary.
Sure.
So check this out. So Mari Cooper went for a 3rd, goes to Buffalo. DeAndre Hopkins goes to Kansas City for a 5th. I know your thoughts on Devontae Adams going to New York. He went for a 3rd. Deontay Johnson goes to Baltimore for a 5th. Now you have Dallas acquiring Mingo for a 4th. Well, that's weird for Dallas. Mike Williams going to Pittsburgh for a 5th. You see all these different receivers. It is a little bit like fantasy football for them because I think part of it is their salaries are being handled by their old teams. We're going to swap out these picks and improve on the margins as long as we improve our core in the offseason. These Baltimores, these Buffaloes, these Kansas Cities. Then you have these other teams like Dallas where it's like, that's a terrible trade to make. Dak is hurt. Why are you making that move?
Terrible. First of all, y'all know the Dallas Cowboys is constantly, you guys know how Jerry Jones and his scouting report. Anyways, so back to what I was talking about. You're seeing wide receivers who get paid all of this money end up the wide receiver position is turning into when you go to the car lot and buy a brand new car. The depreciation happens consistently. What value do you get? But go ahead and get you an offensive lineman that you about to pay.
You want to know something?
Go ahead and get you a D lineman that you about to pay, and watch how long, especially on the offensive line. One thing about them offensive linemen, boy, you tell you something about the offensive line group. The offensive line group, and some of y'all former players know I'm not lying. The O-line, y'all first to get married. Y'all always got a wife first. Y'all the first position group to get married. Got your wife. You got you a little bit of car. You good with your money and everything. That's why it's great investments on these offensive linemen. You get you one that lasts you 10 plus years. Oh, you golden. Now, what was you going to say, Frank? I was rolling for a minute.
What I was going to say is guess who's spending even less on receivers?
Detroit. What Detroit spending?
They're spending $11 million. Now Monra's contract jumps in next year, so that's going to bump up from $11 million. They'll probably be spending $22 million.
One of the things. Now, I always show love to Mebane. Mebane will be on the show tomorrow, and the reason why is because I'm telling you, the way he simplifies this game. And one of the things that I want to talk about with him tomorrow is something that we've been talking about as we watching the film together is this. Have you guys noticed, if you've been watching football a while or if you just know, have you guys noticed the amount of QBs? Everybody's in gun. Everybody's shotgun, right? Hardly are guys getting under center, right? If you've been on the 7-on-7 circuit and you've seen these high school kids, my son, his friends, on a constant, the 7-on-7. Are they under center? No, it's always from the gun, right? So a lot of these quarterbacks are getting to the league, and it's not comfortable for them in and under center. Guess what's easiest for the defense? Guess what? And Me-Bang's going to talk about it tomorrow. It is easy for them to tee off on the gun. How many times, let me ask y'all this, Frank, how many times have you seen your favorite team in a situation where it's 4th and 1 and they in the gun? You like, huh? What?
Yeah.
There's going to be a transition, and you're going to start seeing it's a copycat league, right? I remember when the league was copying off the Seahawks, right? Trying to find the big corners. Matter of fact, the Denver Broncos copied exactly that model.
No fly zone.
And they ended up, of course, going to win a Super Bowl. Shout out to the Broncos. Well, that's what's happening now. You can see that, oh, okay, Detroit, oh, okay, Baltimore Ravens. You've been noticing with my man, with Lamar Jackson under center, you got a dog back there, Derrick Henry. By the way, I'll be honest, I did not think the Baltimore Ravens were going to be like this. I'll also be honest and I did not think the Commanders would be like this. Matter of fact, everything I've been talking about this year in football, don't listen to me because I've been wrong.
No, you've been right on some stuff, but yeah, the Ravens are here. They're here.
I've been wrong about the Ravens, and right now, I'm wrong about the Seahawks. No, I didn't think I'd be in a situation where I see the Seahawks lose 5 out of 6. That ain't gonna happen. So here we are. Trade deadlines coming past.
For Seattle, I got some pretty depressing stats if you want to hear them.
Damn, Frank.
Do you want to?
You know the people watching. They love your numbers. Give it to us.
Do you want to know where Seattle
Put the
ranks?
camera on you so they can see.
Do you want to know where Seattle ranks in the bottom 10 in the league?
Bottom 10 in the league. Where they like? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's see. The Seahawks rank bottom 10 in the league in points allowed per game. 24.5 points allowed. So that's not great for a defensive coach. Opposing yards per game. They're almost at 360 yards now. They allow. We're bottom 10 in third down conversion rate when we're on offense. We're bottom 10 in red zone touchdown scoring percentage. That's something we've talked about. Rushing, bottom 10 across the board. Just any rushing stat outside of rushing touchdowns because Ken Walker has some bottom 10. Here's something that kills me. Of all the defensive rushing stats that hurt, opponents' yards per rush. So every time a running back is carrying the football, we're bottom 10. 4.8 yards per carry. 4.8 every time a running back is touching the ball. That's when they're running the ball in the third quarter and the fourth quarter and milking that clock, this is when we just go to die. Interception percentage, bottom 10. Turnover differential, bottom 10. Penalties, last in the league. We got the most per game. Penalty yards, bottom 10. That's tough to win. I'm almost impressed we're 4-5 with all that.
What am I supposed to say? When you start, look, man, that's one thing about the game of football, boy. You know, ain't no opinions. It ain't like politics. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. What the records say. What the scores say. Right? It don't matter if it's your team or it's not your team. It is what it is. The players, the coaches, and the franchises that are rocking right now, the franchises that are 8-0 or 7-2, it is what it is. It ain't no, well, the ref cheated. No. The numbers going to talk to you, and that's definitely going to have to be a fix coming out of this next week. This bye week, there's going to have to be a real fix right here. Or it's just going to just keep snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. Now, look, I'm not changing my expectations on how I feel about this team, even though they're going on the road to Santa Clara to play against Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. I think that this is an opportunity for the Seahawks to really bounce back. So, no, I'm not giving up. No, I'm not lowering the expectations. I expect for them to win that game and then come back home and win that game against the Cardinals and be on a 2-game winning streak. But you got to get one out of the way first. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to get to that part of the season where people start talking about what about the draft. No. This ain't a draft issue. This ain't as a matter of fact, this isn't even a talent issue. And some of you guys disagree with me that you do think it's talent. I don't really think so. And by the way, if there's one thing that I've learned about the league, the talent gap that you guys think is not that much. Good and great is that much in the league. All of those players are good. Seriously. I know sometimes it's easy. You hear Bubba Dub and you call people trash. And there's nobody in the National Football. They're not trash. They are good football players. I want to be crystal clear about that. Also, there's some times where these football players need help from their teammates. These football players need help from their scheme and coaching staff and all those things. And same with offensive linemen. Some of the times I know we badmouth certain offensive linemen and all those things, or we might badmouth the quarterback. One of the things that we've been talking about with Bain is this. In the beginning of the game, let's not let these defensive linemen get a rhythm and get warmed up. And what I mean by that is sometimes you might have to sit 5 and protect with 5 and 6 just to get started, just to get them off their square. But it just seems like lately, these defensive linemen, and against the Rams, I don't know if you guys saw this, and I looked at this on film. In the second half, there was a few times that the Rams rushed 3. They rushed 3. Yes, and got action. That's unacceptable. So we'll chill out, settle down. I think the Seahawks are in a good place. They still have a top-tier quarterback. I know some of y'all are mad at Geno, but just remember, he still leads. He's top of the league in passing yards. They can get that done. He needs to get some protection, and then we will rock from there. Frank, give us some other topics you want to talk about before we leave out of here.
Are you ready? Are you ready to face Christian McCaffrey? Are we going to see him in 2 weeks?
I would rather not. I'd rather not see Christian McCaffrey, but hey, up for the challenge. So one thing about the Niners, whether it's Christian McCaffrey or anybody else, we do know this. We know that it's a copycat league, and we know what other teams want, how they want to attack the Seahawks with that inside zone, right? We're going to see a lot of that. So it doesn't matter who the running back is down in Santa Clara. We know that the Niners are going to attack them the same way they did when they came here to Lumen Field, and the same way that the Rams tried to, the same way the Bills did, and everyone else. They're going to try to do and see what works. But again, I got to give a shout out, and I got to give love and appreciation to the defense, the D-line, the alignment playing well. Now, tomorrow, Bain will come on and really break down what's going on film, what he sees out of the Niners, what he sees that's going better, right, with the D-line, and actually was struggling with the O-line. So we'll see about all that. All right, Frank. Hey, man, before I get up out of here, and before I get to the X's and O's, I just want to say this. Hey, hit the subscribe button. Man, we've been having – a lot of you guys have been coming and sharing our stuff, man, and we really appreciate it. And just so you know that this is just the beginning, right? This is just the beginning. We're in season. We're rolling. But after the season, oh, yeah, we still going to get going. We're going to have a lot of good stuff going. There's the NFL Combine. There's the draft. There's offseason. All kinds of stuff that's going to happen. And, me and my guy Frank and others, we will still be rocking with you. So, hey, let's get to the X's and O's. Everybody in your circle ain't in your corner. You know what I'm talking about? You see, your circle goes around, right? That's your circle. That's your circle right there. But your corner, when you're in a corner, ain't that many people in your corner. And you can't never forget that either, right? Everybody that's in your circle ain't in your corner. Look, the older we get, the more we realize, man, that we got to hold on to our loved ones that really got our back, that really rock with us when times are rough. It's not that many. If one of the biggest mistakes that I've made in life is thinking that everybody is there for me, everybody cares about what happens to me. I'm not crying wolf. I'm not playing victim. Life is pretty good. But I want to give this message for everybody else. Everybody in your circle ain't in your corner. Them people that's in your corner, hold on to them. Tell them you love them. Make sure they know that you appreciate them. That's it for me. I appreciate you rocking with me. Love you for that. And as always, be kind.